And welcome back to part 3 of What If Deku Was a Saiyan? So last time on the Dragon Ball Z My Hero What If, basically he had made it into UA. All Might, he beat Bakugo outright in their test. And All Might has taken him aside to have a conversation with him. Now, real quick, someone brought up a statement that I am downplaying Midoriya's physicality, because Saiyans are just naturally much stronger than normal humans. There is a level of truth to that, but I think you're also overestimating a Saiyan as well. Because, A, I have never once used a power level to gauge where Midoriya is in this series right now. You seem to be under the person who said that kind of is giving the impression that Midoriya should be like Saiyan Saga Goku or Vegeta levels right now, where that he is even Goku as like a young adult in Dragon Ball was certainly more physically capable than a normal human. He was much stronger than the average human. But Saiyans aren't known for super strength, super speed. All they're known for their fighting capabilities, their ability to turn into an ape, Zenkais, Super Saiyan. All this, they just have natural strength. They're not known for being super strong. So speed and strength wise, Midoriya is far faster than an average person. But I think the person's forgetting, we are still in My Hero Academia. And while Bakugo certainly isn't superhuman in the general sense, he is still a physically fit individual. Add on his quirk, which can bolster physical attacks if he needs to, or speed. And it's not like he'd be completely left behind. Then you also got to factor in people like, and I can never remember Sugar Rush's name, but Sugar Rush, who can amp his physicality. Kirishima, who has physical strength and hardening capabilities. Ida, who is still exceptionally fast. Like a Saiyan, especially someone of Midoriya's stature at this time, wouldn't be able to dog walk this universe. In fact, a Saiyan with, let's just use a random level of power here, with like say 1,000 level of power, might, and I use might very loosely here, might be a planetary level threat if they went all out. They'd be a planetary level threat if they went Ozaru. Sure, but the fact is, even with like a hypothetical 1,000 level power level, a Saiyan would not be able to dog walk this universe at all. There's plenty of quirks that could easily trip Midoriya up, that could easily just take his ass out. I mean, if he went up against Shigaraki right now and Shigaraki got a hold of him, he's screwed. Well, I guess he'd be fast enough to get out of his grasp and strong enough to get out of it. But if you went up against the Nomu, he's done against the Nomu. I'm even going to tell you right now, as it stands, he'd have a really hard time with Shoto, too. Not to mention Dark Shadow has a secondary shadow-like being that he'd have to try to contend with. Stain, if he gets a bit of Midoriya's blood, he's not immune to that. You got Overhaul, you got Stars and Stripes, obviously All Might, Kurogiri, Dabi. Midoriya's physicality, while impressive, would not put him as one of the strongest people in the verse right now. Now, you combine all of his abilities together, he's definitely capable. And if he were a hero working at the moment, he'd certainly be higher on the list. But there are still heroes out there that could easily take his ass out. There's plenty of people who could beat his ass. So I don't personally feel like I'm downplaying his physicality that much, because I've never actually stated what his power level's at, because power levels, especially for this series, don't mean a damn thing. They're an okay barometer to gauge strength in Dragon Ball Z, but that's really it. And like even then, they're kind of inconsistent in some ways. But anyway, we would meet up with Midoriya and Toshinori, saying, young Midoriya. So, okay, so where's All Might? Young Midoriya. I want you to know, I've been keeping an eye on you for a little while now. I can see it. There's something different about you. You really have what it takes to be a true hero. Oh, well, that's great, Mr. Toshinori. I thought you, not to sound like I don't appreciate talking to you, but I thought you said I was going to talk to All Might. That's right. The ties in though. What I'm about to tell you and show you is basically needs to be kept between us, at least for now. Are you ready? It's like, well, okay. Hello, young Midoriya. Oh, what? Yes, that's right. I guess I'm not completely capable of handling that yet. Because even though he hasn't pushed, actually, I guess his time limit would be a little bit better because he didn't have to overdo it with the sludge villain. So I guess he could still remain All Might a little bit longer, I suppose. Yes, Midoriya, that's right. The handsome looking Toshinori you met is actually the very handsome looking All Might. It's like, anyway. And then he turns back. And they basically have their kind of discussion that's a mix of that first discussion they have on the rooftop, where he talks about, wait, you were injured? Was it was that the name of the toxic chainsaw or the atomic chainsaw? I think it was the toxic chainsaw. Oh, you know your history. He got a couple good shots in, but not a lot of people heard about this fight. No, and truth be told, I can't maintain doing my hero work forever, and especially with this injury. That I'm going to have to look for a successor. And I think you might be that successor, Midoriya. And it's really? Why me? I noticed something about you when you were when you were in the exam. You didn't have you could have left. You had more than enough points to pass at that point. You could have left the 0 pointer, and someone would have gone to Sabo Uraraka. And I think somewhere you knew that, but instead you just on instinct went to fight it. You were actually able to put it down to rescue her. That's not the action of a student. That's the action of a hero. That's what makes a true hero. Someone whose body moves before they even have time to think. And so I think you very well might be the one who succeeds me as the next user of all One for All. One for All? Yes, and he explains One for All. Wow. So wait, so are you saying I'm going to be the next successor? That's right. But there's still some things I need to confirm and figure out before we can really make this official. I'm going to be keeping an eye on you. That's the thing. He's not going to give him straight One for All right from the get there. Now, that being said, because of let's call it his quirk, but because of the Midoriya's physical nature, he's probably already in shape enough to have One for All and not have a problem with it. But All Might says, All Might says, all right, get out of here for now. And so All Might right now is, looking at a few other options because he remembered that Night Eye probably still wanted Mirio, and Mirio is a good pick. But ultimately, I think Midoriya might be the right one. But he's still weighing the option between Mirio, and he probably says well, there was another option I would suggest to you. I'm looking into him right now, and I won't make any promises to you, Midoriya, but I'll let you know, probably in the end of the month. And so Midoriya's kind of over them. I was like, whoa. And so this leads us in the USJ incident where everyone's kind of talking. Bakyo's, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And obviously they get the explanation of what they're going to be doing, and then Kurogiri shows up. And everyone basically gets sent to the respective areas. I mean, Midoriya, in theory, could react to Kurogiri, but unfortunately, he wouldn't be able to find Kurogiri's real body in all this mess. Bakyo was the one who figured that out, what the real body was. Excuse me. So Midoriya would still get sent to the ocean area, to which he just catches himself in the air. And it's like, oh, Mineta, Saiyan, he flies over. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. And he's like, oh man, we're gonna oh crap. And he sees the villains coming. Mineta throws the balls at him. And oh god, we're so screwed. And then Midoriya realizes, wait, they don't know what our quirks are. Otherwise, they would never have sent Sue here. All right, this is going to be tricky, but I think we can do it. Now, truth be told, could Midoriya take out the majority of these guys right now? Maybe not, because again, we don't actually know all the quirks of all those guys. Some of them had heteromorph quirks where they were kind of like shark people. Others clearly had water-based quirks where they could just either survive in the water or at something. Most likely he could have, but he's also not thinking just of himself here. So, but that being said, he gets ready. Just all right. When I give you the go, when I say the word go, it's a Kame. Well, what's that kid do? Kame. Basically, he does the flick, but with a Kamehameha instead of just boom, go. And so they fly off, and is throwing the balls. Eat my sticky balls! Midoriya, you're so cool. Obviously, they get the land, and I think Midoriya just pops him on the leg. He's like, look at that. Oh, well, what do we have here? Oh, no. He's like, what? Crap. Get away from her! And Midoriya is fast, but the Nomu also has very high levels of speed, too. And just, what? And here's an interesting thing. Do we think a Ki Blast, even if it's not as strong as it could be, but just a Ki Blast could hurt the Nomu who has shock absorption? Because Ki is weird in Dragon Ball. It is energy. It's more or less plasma. But it's like plasma with a twist on it because it is life force energy as well, kind of. It's just your natural energy. It acts both as heat, but also as concussive nature. And we constantly see characters just bat it away or even just get into a beam struggle, or you literally just hold a beam back with their bare hands. We never actually see them using, say, their Ki to guard themselves, guard their hands. And we've seen on multiple occasions that Ki burns. Look at Frieza blocking Goku's strike in Namek, where his hand was charred. I mean, it wasn't like completely burned to a crisp, but it was charred. So I'd say this: because it kind of acts as both, I would say that it wouldn't push the Nomu back. Although it might, like, because Midoriya is right there, it might hit him, like, cause him to back off a little bit. But the fact is, it leaves a burn. It does leave some sort of damage that the Nomu's not expecting. But Midoriya comes in, Nomu's still like, hey, this guy's fast. It's like, what? I can't. It's like, oh, aren't you a quick one? Aren't you a quick little monkey? Nomu, take care of him. And obviously, he touches Sue's head. You're just so darn cool, Eraserhead. And so Midoriya's like, get away, I said, get away! And this time because he's got two hands, Unfortunately, Kamehamehas are still a big tax on Midoriya, though as he practices and gets stronger, they become less of a tax. He can, like, throw out more if he has to. Right now, he could probably throw out another one, but then he'd be done. Or he can just throw out these little attacks and be generally fine. Just boom! And then the Nomu comes in. Midoriya is just the Nomu's like, kind of like Klaus throws Midoriya back, catches up. Darn it! This guy's way too powerful. I guess I think I have enough to do one more attack, but then I'll be toast if not. And you just see Sue. It's like, Kame! Let me Nomu kill him. Nay! And the Nomu just starts walking like Superman through it. But it is hurting Nomu. Because while the concussive force is being absorbed, the heat is actually hurting them. But Nomu has advanced generation, which is the kicker in all this. But still, it's like, it's kind of just finally just throws away. His body sizzling, but quickly regenerates. He's got regeneration too. Oh man, this isn't good. I totally gasped, but I can't. No, I won't let them hurt you. And so he's probably like maybe like looking at Midoriya like, Midoriya, ribbit. I'm not trying to set up Sue or anything in Midoriya, although I do kind of like them as a couple. They kind of work as a couple for me. To be honest, the Ochako Izoku thing is fine. I don't have a problem with it. It was very much set up in the series. I do like some other pairings, like, again, Sue, I like Sue. I do. With Midoriya. She's probably the next best option in terms of what little could have been set up. I've always, for some reason, like Mina and Deku. I just think that look kind of, cause I think it maybe has to do with the fact his hair's green and she's pink, so I think that's kind of fun, and their kids would have probably looked cool. I don't really like him and Jiro, though. Momo and him are just kind of whatever. And I can't remember Invisible Girl. Hakagori? There was nothing really there either. But yeah, I mean, those are kind of like my three, but regardless. And so that's when All Might shows up. Do never fear, for I am here. And then he goes toe-to-toe with the Nomu. Should note, again, he does have more time on his table. He's not going to tire out as quick here. I think he said he had like 10 minutes left before he got to UA, or before he got to the USJ. And so he was probably functioning at like maybe 5 minutes max left. Here he's maybe got 10 or 15 minutes left. So the entire fight happens the same. Plus Ultra! Boom! And just throws the Nomu into basically orbit. And All Might's staring down. All right, then. Well, let's see what you've got. Anything else? And so he's ready to go toe-to-toe with Shigaraki again if he needs to. Luckily, he's still got a few minutes left under his belt. So, and unfortunately, it goes the same, but minus the fact that Midoriya tried to help. Here, Midoriya doesn't try to help. All Might still got some time on his belt, or time on his clock. I keep saying under his belt, which I guess is a phrase, but I'm trying to put more like time on the clock. And so he and Deku kind of both wind up in the ER, Deku mostly for exhaustion. Oh, I think there might have been a couple of injuries from the Nomu. All Might also exhaustion, all that, and All Might just look and say, "Well, I heard what they said about what you did. You went to try to take on that Nomu guy all by yourself. Yeah, I know, it was pretty stupid, but it was what a hero would have done. It's what real heroes do. We fight. The real heroes are going to fight against odds that are greater than them all the time. Fight against eventually. Most heroes either if they're lucky to retire, they'll do it. But most heroes, a lot of heroes usually will end up fighting a threat that's too much for even them. And Midoriya kind of takes that in a little bit. As I do believe you're ready. I do think you will be my successor. And so when they're recovered and they know the sports festival is coming, he says, "All right then, eat this, and just you need my DNA in you." Ooh. The implication. And so Midoriya digests it, and luckily this is because I believe the sports festival took place like a week or two after the events of this, so he does have some time and he starts to practice with it a little bit. But now here's the thing, because he's a Saiyan, he has a natural affinity for his ki and the energy in his body. One for All probably will obviously super amp his ki a little bit, which means he has probably a lot more reserves now, so he can throw off several Kamehamehas and not be like tired or frantic or anything like that, or exhausted like he used to be. But what I also think happens here is the first time Midoriya uses One for All, tries to use all of its power, he breaks his arm again. It's like, ah! It's like, don't worry, I asked Recovery Girl to stop by. And like, just be careful. Well, okay, I can't use it like that. But then, and he powers up his aura a little bit just to get the use of his feel. See, and if you notice, it's stronger. Like everything about him feels stronger. It's like, well, wait, what if I treat it like that? And then, he just starts to amp, tries to use One for All and increments. Kind of basically treating it, weirdly enough, like a Kaioken. Not that he would have the Kaioken, I'm just saying. And so he's like trying, he's like, okay, there we go. So the smallest amount I can. And he learns full cowling in the 2 weeks. Because full cowling really, it honestly functions like how, not one-to-one, mind you, but it is kind of in the same way how the Z fighters focus their ki throughout their entire body. Midoriya just had to learn to focus One for All through his entire body. And so he's keeping it on low levels for now. He's like, no, and he's like, okay. And he figures out he's probably good at around maybe a 7 or an 8%. I definitely believe he's more capable than just the 5% Midoriya originally had. And I think he realizes I can max out to 10 before I actually feel my bones start to creak. Like, this power is insane. But yeah, no, for the sports festival, when you go up there, I want you to proclaim to the audience that I am here to let them know exactly who you are. And so the sports festival comes. They start with the obstacle course. Obviously, Shota takes out the 0 pointers, no problem. Midoriya, though, can both fly and is exceptionally fast. It's hard for me to say if he's the legit fastest. But although, to be fair, I think Goku said, I think we saw Goku just before his Roshi training. I think it was like 7 or 8 seconds he did that dash, whereas I think Ida did it in like 5, if I'm not mistaken. And then Roshi did it in about like 3 something on, I can't remember exactly what the speed feat was. Ida, though, I think was much faster than Midoriya initially. However, Midoriya through training has just gotten much faster than Ida, at least in terms of flying. Like in a just straight foot race, sure, Midoriya might be faster, but because Ida can kind of just move, all he needs to do is move his legs and switch on a fly. He's arguably the more dangerous speedster, and this isn't even including. Besides, as far as we know, Ida wasn't going out at max speed when he did that. when he did the dash, probably. Besides that, we also know Ida gets way faster. Like, he gets to Mach level speeds when he ends up like fighting in the final arc. So Ida gets super fast to the point where I don't know how his body actually survived that. Maybe it was the suit or something. Anyway, but Midoriya is really just pretty much has an easy time. He just flies over. Now I can totally see Bakugo trying to shoot him out of the sky or something. Granted, his quirk, while explosions, doesn't have a lot of range at this point in the story. He does have the AP shot that later gives him some more range. I think the scatter shots, but unfortunately, unless he's doing a super big explosion, he's not going to get a lot of range. And I think that's really because he's so pissed off. Midoriya just kind of like, Midoriya, boom, Deku! You, Bacchus, you, Deku, you stupid, or Baka, Dekusaru, Douglas, you, boom, we're just booing. Midoriya is shaken by the waves, like she was, he's starting to fall. He's like, you snooze, you lose, and Midoriya snaps his eyes open just as he's about to hit the ground. And he takes the gun and just launches himself off. Screw you, Bakugo! But at this point, Deku has kind of had it up to here with Bakugo. It's like, you! Just rushes in, and Midoriya is the winner. Yeah! Midoriya is the winner. The cavalry fight. Unfortunately, okay, so Deku isn't he's not the one being carried. He's not on the bottom. He's the one being carried. Unfortunately, this is one of those instances. Wow, I'm really struggling with pronunciation today. Instances where Ida's sheer speed did overwhelm Midoriya. We even see just how fast he really they blinked and he was, or blunk. I don't believe that's a word, but he blinked and Ida had taken this headband. So unfortunately, even with Midoriya's speed here, here's the thing. I think he's fast enough to see it and has the reflexes to see it, and he could have reacted. He just didn't see the attack actually coming. Like, he didn't realize he was going to do that, so that took him by surprise. But they still get the other headband, so they're fine. Him versus Shinso. Unfortunately for Midoriya, it does follow the same. Like, Midoriya is about to just get ready to just kind of take out Shinso, and then he just reacts, gets caught, then one for all, snaps him out of it. Great. And then you get to him versus Shoto. And this is where you're probably not going to see a big difference, because Midoriya can actually stay out of the way of a lot of Shoto's attacks. Mind you, the area of effect of his attacks are so large and so massive upwards, too, like giant ice pillars, that Midoriya can still get caught in these attacks. So he's just flying, and he's trying to get to Shoto before another giant ice block comes in. He blocks, blasts it with ki. And basically, he now just says, screw it. Okay, 5%, full Kelly, one for all. 5%. And then, he's rushing in faster. He does start to tag Shoto, because he did tag him in the actual fight. Actually, hit him right in the gut. So, boom, and, he goes flying, catches himself. Boom. Midoriya's blasting with ki to keep the ice at bay. Midoriya, though, unlike in the original, is actually perfectly fine. I mean, he might have some frostbite a little bit, like some of his body might be covered in ice. He just flexes, but he's also getting cold, too. And the sheer amount of power that Shoto is, throwing at him is just insane. Just, damn it. And this is where he does the whole thing. Why aren't you using your other arm? It's like, I don't need it. I'm going to prove I can be a hero without it. And, look at me, Shoto. Look at me. Neither of us have put a scratch on the other yet. So come at me with all you've got. Because really, when it comes down to we've barely done a damn thing to each other. So come at me with everything you've got, Shoto. I'll crush you. And Shoto's like, you, Midoriya, I will not use my father's quirk. Your quirk, your power. Obviously, he gets the memory. So, and obviously, All Might's looking on like, young Midoriya, are you trying to save Todoroki? And Endeavor probably met up with him too. You remind me a lot of All Might. He's like, yeah, I'm not All Might, and he's not you. And so, unlike before, I mean, Deku stared him down with a little bit of nervousness, but Deku still stared Endeavor down. As much as he cried a lot in the beginning, this still takes balls, man. Because Endeavor is ranked number 2 for a reason. It's not because of power, it's popularity, but he's still ranked number 2. And he is one of the strongest heroes that was around. And Midoriya just like just looks on and just like, and then obviously Shoto was like, when did I forget? You're right, I want it too, Midoriya. All right then. And Midoriya can feel the Saiyan bloodlust coming in, like just like, it's like, then show me what you got. Full calorie, 10, and he kind of can actually feel it. He can push himself a little hard. 12%, and he can just feel it. And then they finally come in. Don't blame me for what happens next. He lifts the arm up. Kame! And they're just kind of staring at each other. And unlike before, where it was bad, where Midoriya was coming in full power and a giant fire blast, here it's two freaking energy blasts about to collide. They have to, like, we gotta put a stop to it. Boom! Like, you compare it to, like, I found that fight weird how it ended. Not how it ended, but like the explosion part of it. Because everything kind of like just separated into even cubic bits a little bit. It's like, wait, what? Here, not so much. Boom! And like the impact is so grand that even the people trying to stop, like, ugh! And everyone's looking around. And there's Shoto, who's still in the ring, but like his shirt's gone, and he's also like, and they look and they see Midoriya also still in the ring, and like, wait, how? But he's like on the bare edge of it. He's holding himself up, like barely, but he's still there. And they're like, well, how do they? And they see this trail in the ground, and they see Midoriya's hand is bloodied and like almost and probably broken. But it literally, as soon as he fired the Kamehameha and it started over and the explosion happened, he jammed his hand right into the ground and started to just hold on tight and just dragged through the stadium. And then Midoriya's just like, I told you, Shoto, you're not the only one who wants it. And then just, he's got the all one up one more time. And Shoto's like, huh? Boom! It just gets clocked. And boom, boom, boom. And then Midoriya and Shoto just like goes out there. Just, the winner is Midoriya! So, and he holds up his bloodied hand. It's almost looking like a bit like a stump. It's like his fingers are all mangled, but he's able to make a fist. So Midoriya wins! And Endeavor's like, and he looks at All Might's like, that kid, you. And then meanwhile, All Might's like, oh my god! He's like, holy crap! And so he gets killed up by Recovery Girl. Now, granted, you might think maybe a Zenkai boost here. Zenkai really only comes down to when Midoriya is physically like at that brink altogether. Just injuring his hand would not be enough. Like, for example, Gohan losing his arm during this fight with the androids in the Future Trunks timeline, that I would imagine would necessitate a Zenkai. I have to believe that would necessitate a Zenkai. Which is ironic. He would have gotten stronger to a certain degree, but lost in a limb. So it kind of evened out. So yeah, and they're just like, oh my god, Midoriya, that was great. And him and Shoto are kind of in the waiting room. And Shoto's just kind of looking at the ceiling. He's like, Midoriya, what you said, do you really believe that? Do you believe we aren't the products of our parents, that we can be something more? It's like, that I do, but what you want to be is up to you. But whatever you do, just remember, everything you have is you. It's not your parents, or something along those lines. And Shoto just like, Midoriya, thank you. Now, if I remember correctly, and I could be remembering wrong here, I should probably reread the Sports Festival arc just to freshen up again in the future. I believe Shoto would have fought Ida next. And Midoriya at this point now. Now, here's the thing. I think here's the one thing I can say about One for All and how the Saiyan biology works. Because Midoriya might accidentally push himself too hard at points, especially if he ends up using all for one at any point, that immediately should give him a Zenkai, because he's going to end up breaking his body in multiple ways. So, and pushing his body past its limits and all that with full cowling, I think at minimum should acclimate his body a little bit to the full cowling more. So now it's like 12% is kind of like his new max without hurting himself. Like, he pushed himself beyond it. He maybe even His bones probably even like cracked a little bit, but it didn't straight up break. So when the Recovery Girl heals him, he's fine. So I think that's how you can kind of justify the Zenkai with One for All here, is that the full cowling, especially when he's pushing himself past the limit with it, is able to kind of acclimate, kind of like how God Ki acclimated to Goku's body. That's a perfect example. So yeah, Midoriya and everyone. So Midoriya pretty much takes down Ida without too much difficulty, and then once again, him and Bakugo. It's like, I'm gonna. There's nothing stopping us this time. Midoriya, this isn't a class. This is a battle. There's a head in which Midoriya just like flexes. Like, you're right. It is. It's time to show, and it's time to show you. I'm not Dekusara. I'm not just some dumb monkey, Bakugo. I'm Izuku Midoriya. And I'm the one who's going to be the next #1 hero. Believe it. He does a Naruto. And Bakugo comes in. And immediately, while Deku is still way faster and physically able than Bakugo, Bakugo's got a lot of range in terms of his area of attack. Just boom, 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 boom. Because Deku can fire Ki Blast, sure. And they're arguably more dangerous. They have better targeting. They're theoretically faster. But they don't have it, unless Deku makes a huge blast, they don't have as big an area effect naturally. He'd have to make it natural. Whereas Bakugo has the reverse problem. He doesn't have as much finesse with his quirk. He can't fine tune it in like area and pinpoint in an area and pinpoint it as well without practice. So they kind of have an inverse issue here. But Midoriya's speed and ability just to have battlefield awareness completely trumps Bakugo, so he's just avoiding the attack. It's like, you idiot! You think I don't know what your tricks? And he actually just like puts his hands on the floor, just starts exploding the ring, and just boom, lifts up debris. Just, boom! Midoriya's like dodging, and all of a sudden he hears boo, doo, doo, explosions. Bakugo kind of like comes in, rushes in, just got you! Boom! Howitzer! What was it? Howitzer blast or something like that. And Deku's just. And he sees, a smoking form fall to the ground. Got you, Deku! What? And it's just a rock he got. All of a sudden he hears that the sound of Ki charging. Kameha. And the guy who's not going all out here. He's not using One for All. Hame! And Bakugo's just, he's able to kind of get himself out of the way to a degree, but he does get tagged by the Kamehameha. And Deku's using a weak version of it. He's not trying to kill Bakugo or anything. And he starts to go spin, hits the ground. Midoriya then comes in, just boom, 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 starts laying into Bakugo. Just boom, 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 boom. Bakugo doing his best to try to, but in a straight hand-to-hand fight, he's got nothing on Midoriya. Midoriya even uses his tail, grabs his arms, and boom! And Bakugo's like, not yet. He does some explosions. Midoriya gets some distance. Bakugo struggles to stand up. Not losing to you again, Deku! Not this, you dumb monkey! And he just goes all, and even Deku's like, no, don't, no. Just, boom! Just kind of wastes half the ring. Midoriya barely. It's like, and all of a sudden, it's kind of like when Kefla fought Goku in the Tournament of Power. Not that Midoriya is charging Kamehameha and slides on it, which is still, to this date, one of the sickest moments in Dragon Ball history. Look, in the Tournament of Power, top 5, easy. In Dragon Ball still, that's just an all-time moment still. The Goku just charging it, avoiding the attacks, and then just, it's like, got you, you're in the midair, and then slide it and point blank Kamehameha to the face. Are you kidding me? That was still one of the most badass moments there is. That look up, and that's when, and it was at that moment that the few Saiyan knew they done fucked up. Anyway, I don't think it's quite that badass here, although I might see if I can incorporate it later on into the story somehow, because that still would be an awesome moment. But what it is that Midoriya just basically using Ki to, a Ki blast, kind of offset the explosion, but he's still getting hit. So Bakugo's like, gotcha! And all of a sudden, he just sees something in the kind of form, the explosion in the fire, and there's Midoriya. Like, yeah! And Midoriya is now all beat up, burnt. And his hands are probably the most. non-effective because of the key he was using to offset the attack. But he's a bit bloody, just and Baku's like, boom, just cracks him, boom, and just right out of the ring, Baku gets shot at. The winner is Izuka Midoriya! And Baku's pissed off, tied to the post. I still think he's pissed off, doesn't want the medal. He's like, I don't want it! And then, good job to you, Midoriya. You did well. To think you've come this far so quickly. You and all your classmates have a promising future. That's for certain. And so, part 3 ends with Midoriya actually winning the sports festival, but a bloodied killer lies on the horizon. How will Midoriya handle the hero killer staying? Will he even interact with him? Yes, he will. So, and by the way, why don't we end here actually with Midoriya? Midoriya, I still think is going to go see Gran Torino. I still think he's going to go see. It makes too much sense for him not to here. He's got One for All. He's learning how to use it pretty quickly, but Gran Torino could still help him out with that. But what is the hero name of Midoriya here? Like, Deku is the name of the hero. Great. But, well, I think Deku Saro kind of still works here. Useless monkey. I don't see him. I'm trying to think what Uzaru Great Ape. I mean, great. Actually, calling himself Uzaru after his culture's transformation. Him trying to take. It's the one thing that Midoriya does fear about himself is the power of the ape. Because even though him and Inko have had it for a while, and she's probably explained it to him, and she's probably been able to keep him in check when he was younger. I don't see Midoriya having a lot of control over it to this point. Enough that he might not randomly kill innocent people, but it's kind of like the Hulk in this case, where he kind of just loses his mind, but as long as he's like targeted on a bad guy, he'd be fine. And I think it's something that even Midoriya fears right now. And the vestiges in him, the One for All vestiges, they probably do see, like, in his mindscape, this creature that just sleeps but occasionally is there. Like that representation of his primal urges in there. And so he's taking the name Ozaru, Great Ape. And so that will be his hero name. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you for it in the next one. Later.